Step into the spotlight.
Okay, so you guys can't say that I don't love y'all because I just turned my heater off because it was making too much noise to do this video. So here I am suffering through the cold for your entertainment. Are you not entertained? So I'm not entertained because I just read Hawkeye number 13 and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because this is supposed to be Marvel Legacy, and Marvel Legacy, what they're doing is they're going back to the original numbering. So like Hawkeye would be considered she's supposed to be the Hawkeye, she's supposed to be the real Hawkeye. So wouldn't they use the original numbering or something? Or maybe he hasn't had his own book, I'm not too sure. But I thought he did have his own book, which would be kind of weird to start at 13, but that's just me. But anyway, moving on. So we look at this cover, and it's very apparent that they don't really care about this comic book because this cover has nothing to do with the inside. And I've heard through some other people on the inside that there's a pool of covers, like there's just a folder of covers in the computer, and then you can just pick what you want because they've made a bunch of them beforehand, you know, and it just makes things easier. You don't really have to worry about it. And you know, these artists will have like 5 or 6 ready and says, hey, just pick this one. And it's very apparent because this comic book cover has nothing to do with the inside. I'll show you what they could have used, which would have made more sense and been more entertaining and maybe made you want to read it. This looks like a Mad Magazine cover. You remember Mad Magazine? This looks just like a Mad Magazine parody cover to me. It does not look like a real Marvel comic. This is how far it's fallen. So as we're moving on here, we go to the title page here, and the title page just makes you want to just close your eyes and just tell yourself everything's going to be okay, because it says here's she has like a file folder because she's a real detective, and it says, while following up on some leads I got from Madame Mask's place, I ran into Laura Kinney, Gabby, and Jonathan, aka Wolverine, Tiny Wolverine, and Literal Wolverine. I don't even know. Tearing things up at the same sidekick hangout I was investigating. Turns out we were looking for the same guy. Poor sap. We teamed up to make mincemeat of the minions, which was a super nice distraction from the whole my dad may have murdered my mom unless she's still alive thing, and the Madame Mask became me and made poor life decisions. Wow. We made mincemeat again, this time of the bad guy and his clones, and unfortunately kept all our feet. Long story. We trust them up roughly 500 rolls of duct tape for the LAPD to find, and with a confession. Also, I'm realizing just now that somebody paid me. Dang it. That nobody paid me. Dang it. I mean, and then she has additional notes here where she says, I think Lucky and Jonathan, which is her dog and the Wolverine, are in love. Is that legal? Oh, and I may have realized I needed help with investigation into my mom's murder and called Clint. That won't be awkward at all, Barton. Gah. Won't it be awkward? He's the Hawkeye and you're fake Hawkeye. You literally stole his name. Why would that be awkward? Is it awkward because you stole his name? Could be. Moving on. So we start out this page here, and it's pretty obvious that the artwork is not the most important thing about this comic. But then again, also the writing is not the most important thing about this comic. When you look at these pages of this comic book, it looks like Archie comics. You remember Archie comics, the old Archie comics, not the new ones. This is what it looks like. It looks like a cheap newspaper comic book strip is what it looks like. I don't understand this at all. Like, this looks like anybody could draw it within like 20 minutes time. Just draw this up real quick. This looks unfinished. It looks like somebody drew it and then somebody went on a computer and just colored it real quick. This is disappointing. She says, you think reteaming with your mentor, colleague, namesake, friend, family, if you're honest, will be a good thing. You tell yourself you can count on family. But you're an idiot, because family is also the most trouble of anything around. The root of the word family is even something about trouble. I mean, I may have made that up, but it totally should be. So obviously the writer is deranged and thinks family is the worst thing ever, when family is actually the best thing ever. Family is something that you can always count on. And it may not be your direct family members, but there's always somebody in the family that you can count on. Unless, you know, your family has died off and then it's just you. But then by then, hopefully you have started your own family and you can count on that family now. These are childless weirdos with dogs. These are dog moms that wrote this book. So then we cut to this page here. And you so could have used a variation of this picture for the cover. Who would not want to have read this comic book with them flying through the air, falling, and shooting arrows? But that's an awesome action shot. Well, it's not awesome because they can't draw. But it would have been an awesome action shot for a good artist like Alex Ross or somebody to do for this cover. Would it have not? I mean, maybe that's just me. But anyway, she says something quippy here, and then we move on, and it's 3 hours beforehand, and what is going on is Hawkeye, she's asked Hawkeye for help to investigate whether her mom is still alive or not, but at the same time he needs her help because he's got an important mission as well. Something's very bad going on. And so they go back and forth, and there's this really cringy part right here where he says, look, Lucky agrees with me clearly. And the dog goes, woof. And she says, don't be ridiculous. He's just hungry. And then he looks at the dog and says, would it kill you to be on my side, Lucky? And he says, woof. Well, I don't even understand. So then we go to, they're at a pizza parlor right out in the open, you know, in full costume, eating pizza. Because that's so cool, right? And so then he's saying, you know, hey, I've got to find out what's this, you know, I'm investigating something. I really need your help. You're a detective. And she says, look, I've got to find my mom. I'm going to use a mom card if you don't watch it. And so at that point, they both see red dots on their heads. They push each other out of the way, and two arrows both land in the wall. And so at that point, they knock the tables down. Poor little Lucky's over there, crouched down, hiding. Terrible artwork. And she says, wait, is this your thing that you were telling about? I told you it was urgent. And she said, you said someone was after you. You didn't say they were trying to kill you. Well, why would they be after him and not be trying to kill him? This is the definition of after a superhero. I didn't want to be dramatic, Clint says. Oh my God, Clint. I mean, seriously, we need to deal with yours first. And he's like, thank you. I mean, this is not how a guy talks. This is two women talking. Obviously, they don't know how masculine Hawkeye talks. But anyway, so we get this next shot here, and you can see the little blue dot at the top of the building there. Okay? And so it's pretty far away. I mean, that's like 4 or 5 stories up, probably 5 or more, and they're across the street too. So that's diagonally, that's probably what, like a couple 100 feet. And so what do they decide to do? Clint shoots his tiny crossbow, which may have went that far, and Katie decides to throw throwing knives hundreds of feet into the air in an upward direction, and they hit the side of the building within inches of the target. That's not realistic. So then this keeps going. They crash into their friend's surf shop, all sit calmly, and the surf shop owner, it has green hair, of course, with a pierced lip, and the friend, which is a guy, also has a pierced lip, of course, and earrings, because, you know, it's 2017. It's current year. And so the girl's name is Ramon, you know, because it's 2017. It's current year. So they're hiding out at the same time trying to find out, and God, this art's terrible. At the same time trying to find out who may be after them. And after discussing it amongst themselves, they think it may have been due to the blue hair. They think it may have been someone that they came in contact with on the Generations issue, where they had that contest of marksmen when they're on the island and they both had to, you know, survive and all that kind of stuff. And then Clint just now realizes that it was that Hawkeye, this current Hawkeye, that was in the time travel area with them, that with him at the time and during these adventures. Clint Barton is not that stupid. I mean, gosh. So then they go to Hollywood, there's Chinatown, and they're talking about the costumes there, and somebody wants a picture with them, of course, because they're in full costume walking around like normal, which wouldn't be weird at all. I mean, they've got bow and arrows out in public, and nobody has said anything. But anyway, so they want a picture, an arrow strikes beside them, all very anticlimactically. And here's the thing, they messed up on the art because the enemy has blue bow and arrows, but when the arrow was shot at him, it was a purple arrow that looked just like Katie's arrows that she just shot. So yeah. So he's got this new grappling hook arrow that he shoots. They swing up there. Hawkeye looks like he hasn't been taking his shark cartilage for a while. And there totally is Eden Vale. That's totally Eden Vale, guys. And she got herself a sweet costume upgrade as well. So then both the Hawkeye shoot arrows at her. She uses her teleporting power to disappear and come back. And they're like, oh, we got to get closer. Yeah, we got to get closer. So then they're talking about something here. And this is probably the only interesting thing they said here. Here's a thing nobody really tells you about being a superhero before you sign up. You didn't sign up. There's no sign up. Like you took his name and just decided to be a superhero. You were a rich kid that decided to be a superhero and just was all of a sudden was good at shooting arrows for some reason. And then you also just become a detective just because. It's hard to stop people who want to kill you without hurting them. That's pretty interesting. So she easily takes both of them out, knocks them off the side of the building. Katie slips on her own blood on her cut hand. They both fall out backwards, and here's the scene that we got before. So then, as they're falling, all of a sudden Katie is teleported. She disappears. And when she comes back, there's the Veil lady standing over and just easily knocks her out without much trouble at all. So then when she wakes up, Veil's standing over and says, hey, sorry about the headache. That's a side effect of my power, I'm afraid. Power? And so then she's standing there tied up, or she's laying there tied up on the ground. And she says, I need your help to kill Clint Barton. And she said, you know, and you think I'm going to do that because? And Veil says, because I think even you are sick of Clint Barton constantly screwing up. Well, so she would just kill the person that she's impersonating? She says, I mean, I meant that's a good pitch, but no, Clint's my friend, my mentor. He's also a hero and a good man. He doesn't always get it right, but he always tries, and that's worth a lot. So it's almost like his imperfections are what make him a good hero. Just let that simmer. She says, that's not enough. When Hydra took over, Barton's rebellion made Nevada a target. And when it was bombed, I lost my daughter Lucy. And none of you heroes cared. There was like thousands of people that died, and they're supposed to just know automatically that you died, that your daughter died. But you know, it makes a good backstory for an enemy, I guess. And she says, Eden, I'm very sorry that happened, and I can guarantee you Clint is too. What happened in Nevada is tearing him up inside. We absolutely care, and we do anything to fix it. Well, he hasn't mentioned anything about this entire issue, and she said, it's not nearly enough. She says, sure it will it will feel good for a while to kill him, and you know, I'll just deal with it after the fact. And she says, you help me take out Clint Barton, and I'll bring your mother back to you. And there's the mom, like artificial version of her standing in front of her. She says, Mom, And right off the bat, that wouldn't make sense to me, because I'd say, if you can bring my mom back, why didn't you bring your daughter back? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Somebody's got some explaining to do. But yeah, that's pretty much where it ends. I mean, clearly this is, Mark Waid had just mentioned a while back that all writing for these comics is fan fiction. He made that nice little stupid remark, that all writing for these comics is fan fiction, even though you've been hired by Marvel, been licensed to write these stories, and you're writing actual stories in continuity. They want to call it fan fiction, and it makes a lot of sense in this situation, because they're writing this book like it's fan fiction. They're drawing it like it's fan fiction. It's second rate. It's not as good as the original, and it just leaves you wanting the original back. So, it's kind of like this is fan fiction. Strange. But anyway, I'm really surprised that this book is still going. It's obvious that they're just pushing it for legacy. This book would have been canceled any other time. Matter of fact, I'm not sure. I think it was canceled, and they brought it back for legacy. But it's pretty obvious that this book is not going to do very well. I think it's selling under 10,000 every month, except for when it had the Generations book. I think it sold like 40,000 copies then, which is terrible. I mean, 40,000 copies for a Generations book, really? There's still copies of this book at Books A Million right now. That's just me, though. That's just all I got to say about this comic. Look at the art, look at the writing, and just tell me that this is a Marvel comic. And people can't seem to understand the gripes that we have about these books. They think it's all about diversity. Here's my prime example right here. You tell me that this is a legitimate Marvel book. You tell me. You've got Kelly Thompson writing this book just because she's female. You've got Leonardo Romero just going through the motions here doing this comic book. Anybody could draw this comic book. Anybody could draw at this level right here. This looks like Tumblr art to me. But anyway, that's all I got to say. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I hope you like these videos with a new format, and I'm going to continue to try to make better ones for you. It's just going to take a little time. Alright guys, talk to you later. Underground Geek out.